Oh, hey everybody! It's Bloodman Bobby and Gabby here. Here, how we doing,
Hello.
Gabby?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Awesome. So here today to discuss Deadpool 3 because we have heard some more developments, and now we're hearing from Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige that the next Deadpool movie will be R-rated. And this is what Feige had to say. Quote, "It will be R-rated, and we are working on a script right now, and Ryan," referring to Ryan Reynolds, "is overseeing a script right now. It will not be filming this year. Ryan is a very busy, very successful actor. We've got a number of things we've already announced that we now have to make, but it's exciting for it to have begun. Again, a very different type of character in the MCU, and Ryan is a force of nature, which is just awesome to see him bring that character to life." And Feige later on would say that Deadpool 3 wouldn't start filming until 2022 at the earliest. So it's still a while away. As far as the making of the movie goes, most of what we know is that the script is being written by Bob's Burgers writers Wendy Molyneux and Lizzie. Help me out with this, Gabby. Is it Molyneux
Um,
Lolan? Is
I think so. It sounds like Molyneux Lolan. I
yeah,
I could be wrong as well.
yeah.
If
Sorry if
anyone
we
knows the correct pronunciation,
Yeah, please let
please.
us know. Be polite. We're trying our best. Of course, Ryan Reynolds himself will be overseeing the film. So, before we get into our thoughts on the news, let's actually talk a bit about what we think of the Deadpool movies. Do you want to start, Gabby? What did you think of Deadpool 1 and 2?
They have to be some of my favorite. I want to say superhero movies or Marvel movies. Uh, I know that Deadpool is in that really weird place and only even recently kind of had any kind of way to connect to what is the MC universe or the
Yeah,
Marvel universe. Yes,
because I
the
guess you could
Marvel Cinematic Universe. There you go.
yeah.
That's what the C is for.
Hmm.
But I mean, there's also the question of whether he's actually a superhero or more of an anti-hero or what have you. It's really weird. But that's exactly what I love about him because he's not clear cut. He's super funny. And the jokes that they make in the film and the references and the fourth wall breaking is just everything and anything I could ask for.
Hmm. Yeah. So, but what do you personally think of the two films individually?
Individually,
Yeah.
I think the first one definitely blew it out of the water. You know, it was very well executed. Uh, it was a great introduction to the character. I have to say that. Because I came in to the movies with no idea who he was besides some weird Spider Man looking guy who loves chimichangas.
Hmm.
And apparently he likes tacos even better. My kind of guy. So once, learning about this character through this film, I'm like, dude, this guy's really cool. It was an absolutely amazing introduction. The second film, I was just having so much fun watching the second film. Obviously, it was kind of noticeable that they took a little bit more of what's the word I'm looking for?
Darker direction?
Liberty? A
Liberty?
little bit more with
Oh.
liberty as to whether or not they stick to any particular canon. It wasn't like following necessarily any kind of like a storyline that had already properly been um, implemented in the comics. At least from what I know, I could be wrong, but it seemed like they were just kind of like having fun with their own kind of story, which I thought was really cool. And they took what was the character's name? I think it was Domino.
Yeah, a Domino.
Yeah, I love the way they portrayed that character. That was just on on the dime. Just absolutely loved it. And the whole superhero team. I just the way that was so short lived.
Yeah, X-Force, everybody gets killed off. Sorry about spoilers.
I was cracking up the whole time.
Hmm.
So yes, I really do absolutely love both Deadpool movies.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with you as well. I also came into Deadpool not knowing too much about it. Really like the first film. I really like how Deadpool kind of takes a break from a lot of like, what would be considered superheroes, and that he's not like the super noble kind of guy. He's actually kind of this like really kind of snarky, sarcastic, like, foul mouth of kind of person who makes fourth wall breaking jokes, making fun of like superhero tropes and that sort of thing.
oh,
So,
absolutely. And I think that was kind of where I figured out that's kind of my taste in superheroes.
hmm.
Just because when I think about my other, favorite, generally like superhero kind of storylines or characters or anything, they all kind of fall under that. It's like they're not really superheroes. They're just really angsty teens in adult bodies with superpowers who don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And it's just there's something about that that's just so enjoyable. Because I mean, already with the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we've had outside of Deadpool and particularly Disney-fied, if you could even say that, we still have a bit of that snarkiness, kind of like, oh, they have fun here and there, but there's still kind of this air of taking oneself even still like just a tiniest bit too seriously, or like a picture that a picture of perfection that still just kind of like something about it just doesn't make sense. And
Hmm.
then you see someone like Deadpool just come into the middle of everything. It's like, hey guys, I'm an emotional wreck.
Hmm. Yeah, and
And it's just I don't know. Just imagining him in the middle of all of that, I could even just picture him like when they were saying that it was going to be part of that Disney was going to have part of the rights to it. I could just picture him barging into the room where all the superheroes is like, stand back, guys. Where's my tiara? I'm a Disney princess now.
oh my god, they should do that for the trailer, because I remember for Deadpool 2, remember they did that trailer where Deadpool picked up like a doll of himself that was dressed up as Woody and did questionable things to Cable. Yeah, so it's
Yes. Oh my.
hmm. Yeah, I could just
Oh my
picture
gosh.
that the trailer for Deadpool 3, they're gonna make fun of like the Disney name in some way. Heck, even Free Guy, when the first trailer for Ryan Reynolds' Free Guy came out, it was like from the creators of the Beauty and the Beast remake and all these other like remakes. So it's just like
Oh my
they're
god.
already dipping their toes in the water with another movie. But we'll get back to Free Guy later on.
Yeah, that
And
the only thing is going to be whether they're whether they're kind of like held back from that in any way. Like if hopefully nobody will have too much of a problem with them making fun of stuff.
yeah.
It seems like so far that's not going to be a problem. And there's no better news than a company that's taking in something like Deadpool, who seems to understand the necessity for a sense of humor,
Hmm.
especially the kind of humor that we see with Deadpool. That's just very promising.
Yeah, and yeah, which kind of leads us into the other topic that I wanted to discuss with you. So, one of the biggest question marks of a future Deadpool movie is the question of will it still be rated R, because now that Disney has picked up Fox, or sorry, not Fox, it's now called 20th Century Studios, it's kind of like a big question of will Deadpool still be rated R. So I kind of want to talk about how it's the question of should it stay rated R and what could happen if, let's say, even though yes, Feige did say that Deadpool will still be R-rated, what would happen if there was like a PG-13 Deadpool, which kind of happened with Once Upon a Deadpool, but Once Upon a Deadpool was like a re-edit of Deadpool 2, where they basically, as Deadpool puts it, no F words, the only F word is Fred Savage. So, but yeah,
gosh.
let's talk about this, Gabby. Like, how would you feel like the question of should Deadpool still be rated R?
I think it's hard to really get that same vibe, especially knowing how Deadpool is in the comics. Having already two great examples with no holds barred, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Fox. It just kind of shows, it is at the rating where it works.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the testament to that is despite there being an option for a PG-13 version of one of the films, it was so short-lived.
Mm.
Like obviously you could still go on the internet and find copies of it or whatever, but it's not something that really got a lot of attention. Now one can say that it was just underrated and not given the attention that it needed. I sadly cannot testify to any of that simply because, heck, we even tried to see if we could find any way of watching it.
Yeah, I wished I could have
and
honestly.
we were not able.
Yeah, I honestly wished I could have like finished it. I watched the beginning of it, and it's basically like what I expected. They basically, from what I've seen in the opening, they just basically cut back to Deadpool and Fred Savage whenever there's gonna be like an R-rated moment, if you will. Although one could argue, well, it's a recut of Deadpool 2, so what would happen if there was like, a PG-13 Deadpool from the ground up? Which I'm about to get to my point. I also would prefer if Deadpool was R-rated. I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, and I think I guess what I'm getting at is that now that we're looking at not only the idea of there being the PG-13 cut, but it being right off the bat PG-13, and that's what it is, there's going to be, or there would be, right? Because this is hypothetical. I need to remind myself that.
Yeah, because try to reiterate that yes, Feige has said that we're still planning to make it R-rated, and we hope that it stays that way.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
Mm-hmm.
But right off the bat, as quickly as writing, it's going to really, really tone down the material at such an early stage.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're working with something that was already R-rated, some of it is just already there, and you can slip through a couple of things,
Mm-hmm.
But if it's supposed to be PG-13 from the get-go, there's going to be a lot less leniency.
Right.
And I think that's where this situation would be even worse if it were the case of us having a PG-13 Deadpool movie on our hands.
Yeah, right. So I think I'm gonna play a bit of devil's advocate, but hear me out. What I was kind of thinking is maybe it could work in that he would still retain like a snarky personality and get away with a few edgy jokes here and there. I think for me, it's a question of would you rather have, if it was a question, again, hypothetically speaking, of would you rather have PG-13 Deadpool or nothing at all because we've been like waiting for quite a while to see what would happen next with Deadpool, then I would be like, okay, I'll give it a chance. As long as it's not like a really bad comedy like what I hear about the Home Alone sequels past the second one, then I would, at least give it a chance. But still, what keeps me personally coming back to Deadpool was, like, what they could do with, getting away with that R rating. Like, I think so much of, like, Deadpool's raunchiness, and even, like, some of the more, like, even, like, the kind of, action movie that it is, like, could really only be done with that R rating. Like, I still think back to, like, a lot of the jokes. Like, I remember in the first movie when Colossus is trying to take Deadpool away. Deadpool is like, have you seen 127 hours? And he like cuts off his hand. I remember watching it with our buddy Steven, and we both looked at each other like, oh, we know what's coming. Or that scene where in the second one, where after the character's name was Juggernaut, right?
Yes.
Where he like snaps Deadpool in half like he's a lobster, and we see like he has like the whittle legs and the floppy bit.
No, you get to that part and my brain just automatically remembered what you were talking about.
Yeah, sorry to disturb you, but
Full on Winnie the Pooh.
But yeah, so I just kind of feel like my concern would be if they were to go PG-13, it would kind of, sort of lose that edge that Deadpool is known for.
Exactly, and that's where I'm saying that there would be a lot of detriment, because here we go. Let's say we do put the PG-13 rating on a film that's being built from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
Already, what kind of jokes are you going to be able to make with his superpower when the point of Deadpool is that he hates having the superpower because despite it keeping him alive, it hurts it hurts like it hurts really, really bad. Like crazy, every single sense of pain that one would feel without any superpowers is right there. So what? Now he's just going to be like tunified, and that he's just like stretches and wiggles like like a rubber guy. Like, no, we're not looking for the next Mr. Fantastic here.
Yeah, or they would have to do a thing where it's like either off screen or like really like quick cuts. Like if somebody say cuts his hand off, it's like, like they can't like do it on screen for a long time or something like that. So it would feel kind of watered down.
And even then, even then, like, it would be hard to get to that point too, just because the implication is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, not to mention that especially the raunchiness. You would think the violence would be the biggest problem, but I feel like the biggest problem would particularly be the raunchiness, which is another very essential aspect of Deadpool. A lot of the fans, particularly of the movies, have fallen in love with all the raunchy jokes that it makes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he looking at why does the guy's name escape my mind right now? The X-Men.
X-Men.
The second one. The second Deadpool, the X-Men, the big shiny guy.
Colossus?
Yes. Yeah. When he's looking at Colossus fighting, he's just kind of giving him kind of those like he's giving him those eyes, and you're just watching him. He's like, oh my gosh, you dog. Or the iconic joke or the iconic quote from the first Deadpool movie when they're doing the joke with all the different holidays throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to one of them that's like Happy Women's Day, and it's like, where would we have that? We'd be missing out on all those new kind of jokes that they could pull at that level, So it's like, it's gonna be Deadpool, but is it really going to be Deadpool?
Or at least as much Deadpool as Marvel could possibly go.
Yeah, just because it's like there'd be a lot of tension on what's okay and what's not, you know. And when there's a lot of tension, companies don't really like it, and they just tend to like kind of play it safe, you know. So it's kind of like, no, this isn't the kind of character you play safe with, sadly. You know?
Oh, no. Especially not with the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool in particular. Like, I know that Deadpool has, like, shown up in, like, I think he isn't, like, Deadpool in, like, one of the Marvel shows on Disney XD.
I would not know. I don't really watch a lot of them.
Yeah, because I remember seeing, like, a clip, and I remember also, like, Funko did this, like, short, I think it was sort of like a commercial / like a video where they had like Funko Deadpool fighting Venom. So it's like,
oh wow,
yeah. So it's like these examples. So it's like in my mind, it's like technically it could happen, but it wouldn't be. But they wouldn't go as far as I think like they could possibly go with Deadpool. And we were kind of saying that something that we liked about Deadpool was that his raunchy humor was what set him apart compared to a lot of the Marvel like characters.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with the term shock value because I mean that is another really key aspect with Deadpool, especially in these two films. It's like not just necessarily shock for shock's sake, but the fact that it makes sense within the logistics of his superpowers.
Yes.
His mental instability. Right?
Yeah.
And his separation from the reality around him, you know? He's not going to have a filter. He's not going to be able to control his impulses a lot.
Right.
And if he's going to be in that much pain that much of the time, he's going to curse like a sailor.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like oh man, I lost my train of thought of where I was going with that.
You were basically saying how like Deadpool being in the world around him is part of like, you know, what causes him to be like the character he is with
right, yeah, okay. So that all is especially what they got right with Deadpool. I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but like it's not just looking at it through the lens of this character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because this is the same kind of thing. This is the same kind of thing that we see in shows like The Boys, Doom Patrol, Umbrella Academy, you know, in the sense of we're looking at people who have the obligation and the responsibility to save the world from utter destruction, but the realization that they're terribly imperfect and terribly troubled.
Right.
Right? And once you kind of censor anything like that, it just makes the sense that this is the kind of character that we're dealing with that less effective. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Because the whole point of this whole deal is to show that being a superhero is not as pretty as it sounds 100% of the time. Like, that is the essence of all these different kinds of anti-hero kind of messed up childhood, messed up life kind of superpowered people. You know, it's the fact that this is like nitty gritty. This is ugly. This is nasty. This is not appropriate for kids.
Yeah, so it kind of brings like a sort of down to earth sort of element.
Right, yeah. I think, and just to bring up another example, I don't know if you've watched Watchmen.
No, I haven't.
Okay, because that would be another really good comparison in the sense that that was probably one of the ones that were a lot darker.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another aspect. Like, if we're talking about something dark, it's really hard, really hard. I'm not going to say impossible because there's obviously ways to pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to have it give off the same impact when it's intended more strongly towards a younger audience. We could look at examples like the Batman animated series as stuff that gets around it,
Mm-hmm.
but we are not talking about the same kind of characters that we would see. Like, you can't even begin to compare someone like Batman, who's not only a completely different kind of personality, but just in a different universe altogether, with somebody like Deadpool.
Right.
Because we're not going to expect someone like Batman to make fun of the darkness that's right in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
He might crack a small kind of half-baked witty comment on it, but Deadpool would just poop all over it.
Right.
It's like we're not even beginning to deal with the same kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can have a messed up world with something like a PG-13 rating, because that's where something like Batman or like I guess, yeah, that would probably be the main example that we have with Batman, and that the world is really messed up. And yeah, he's not really like the perfect person, but he's not like how would I say, he's not like
Morally bankrupt.
exactly, yeah. At least not in the animated TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But Deadpool. We're not just talking about a messed up world. We're talking about a messed up hero.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know how much you trust this guy with saving the world.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even say himself, "I am not a hero" or something like that. I'm no hero.
Exactly. The whole kind of breakdown and dark realization of his existence in the second film when he's stuck in jail with our little friend there who has fire powers.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example of why they need that R rating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you even begin to kind of like put that sort of level of intensity into a situation like that? I mean, yeah, you could go maybe Logan, in the sense of, oh, life is tough, I'm angry and gritty, but then you take out the sense of humor that is so lovable and so crazy with Deadpool at the same time. Remember, his coping mechanism is humor.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, how do you mix the two when you have this big thing saying no bad stuff? Some younger children are watching. Unless they constantly make gags about somebody putting a hand over his mouth, literally.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, and even then, Logan is R-rated.
Yeah, even Logan is R-rated, and they don't even go that far, just because I think probably because we're dealing with another kind of person still. Yeah. But I mean, in the sense of, if we were looking at someone like Logan, like, you could definitely kind of make him like the big, tough, kind of angry type and still kind of make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't put the imagery of a lot of what's happened to him on screen, right? But the challenges he faces, for the most part, like losing loved ones, being forced into something he wasn't necessarily aware of what it was going to be like, which, granted, is still also a big part of what happens with Deadpool 2, right?
Right.
In the sense that they both are kind of like forced into the situation that's very painful. Emotional pain is much more easy to kind of work around with a PG-13 rating, which is a big part of Logan. Although Deadpool has a lot of emotional pain, a lot of it is based in really screwed up, kind of physical stuff happening. Like,
Yeah.
he has cancer.
Mm-hmm.
He has cancer. Like, how do you go about that? It's like, yo, you look at my skin. Look at my skin. It's like, how are you going to get around with that? It's like, unless you just have him going on a really long monologue, talking about it without actually showing anything or keeping him in the suit the whole time, it's not going to be the same, or kind of like having him pull up a little bit of his mask off. But I mean, when we look at Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, we get the whole ugly picture,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we don't have to imagine. It's right there. And the
Right.
impact that those scenes have that kind of put it right there in your face, it's a big part of the story too.
Mm-hmm.
And take out either side of it, either the humor or the intensity of what's going on, and it's Deadpool, but it's a different kind of Deadpool, and definitely a toned down kind of Deadpool, which is like, it's okay if that's all we get, but
Yeah, to
you
borrow like a sort of cliche phrase, it could have been so much more.
it could have been so much more.
Yeah. So, and funny enough, when I first heard the two Bob's Burgers writers were going to be working on this, admittedly, it made me a little bit on the worried side because Bob's Burgers is, a show on Fox with a TV-14 rating. So I was thinking, and like I did watch several episodes on Hulu, and I noticed that like the humor is much more toned down compared to something like Deadpool. Like in terms of like adult animation, it's much less risque than something like, I would say it's a tad more edgy than Simpsons, but it's a lot less edgy than something like Rick and Morty. But now that we're hearing that it still sounds like Deadpool 3 is still going to be an R-rated movie, it sounds like the writers will just have to kind of like sort of adjust their senses of humor to make it fit with Deadpool. Like, what do you personally think of this, since you're much more familiar with Bob's Burgers than I am?
I would say that I guess I wasn't really thinking too much about that, but you bring a good point in the sense that they are dealing with they have been dealing, as far as in the sense with Bob's Burgers, a show that definitely does not have, I guess what we could say, a lot of R-rated material.
Yeah.
Though what I find to be the case most of the time is the people having to adapt more to a lower rating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like in this case, a rating that's really kind of toned down.
Mm-hmm.
Then it does to really kind of take in a rating like an R-rated film where you have a lot more out, at your disposal as far as material to write about.
Mm-hmm.
And they have two great movies to look on for reference. They have a whole bunch of comics which use similar humor and similar kind of content. And if they can do that much with a TV-14 rating, I think they could do even more with an R rating.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that kind of says is like they're hoping to keep it toned down, which I don't know what I think about that. Yeah. Not the writers themselves hoping to keep the film toned down, but more like, I guess, Disney.
Yeah, that's what more so when I get. I'm not saying that the writers can't make something that's like R-rated. It's just that my thought process was, did Disney bring them in because they worked on Bob's Burgers and they were hoping they could do something closer to that sort of vein? Which, again, not saying Bob's Burgers is bad. I think it's a decent show. It's just that my concern was, is that what Disney was thinking?
Yeah, and there's the other thing in that, despite having a PG-14, or I keep saying PG, TV, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
TV-14 rating, I mean, look at Louise. She is a little maniac that, the only reason why she's not spewing a whole bunch of curse words is, I mean, probably because of the rating, but then secondly, because she's still at heart and, emotionally, still a child, because, her
Right.
age is straight up there, but also, like, she is actually like a kid, but I mean, put her in an R-rated, or like a mature-rated TV show or film, and first things first, it's just going to be spewing out words like a sailor. Like, who wouldn't do that with her when they have the opportunity?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look at how that worked so well with, like, Stranger Things, Like, I mean, obviously in Stranger Things, they weren't, like, spewing bad words left and right.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that was one of the things that a lot of people liked, was that they kind of felt that that was a more accurate representation of what young kids around that age would talk like, which, I mean, I could agree. I mean, I don't necessarily remember if I was that kind of kid, but what I'm getting at is this. The characters are in a PG, there I go again, a TV-14 show,
Mm-hmm.
but they definitely have the potential to be worked off of even more when they're brought into a mature-rated, show or an R-rated film. So, it's still kind of the kind of material that I think fits really well with something like Deadpool, in the sense of, okay, you don't even have to tone it down or find some reason to explain why they're not going as far as they're going.
Yeah.
And you can just go there, like, you want to make the joke, make the joke. We know you want to make the joke,
Mm-hmm.
So I have faith. I think it's going to be more of a matter, and I think we clarified this, more of a matter of the company and what they want for the film, and not so much like the writer's capability, because obviously they seem to be pretty capable people.
Yeah.
It's just like, is Disney going to come over here looming over their computers like, what are you typing?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, like, I don't know if that's something that we can associate our company with. I'm like, I really hope they don't go there.
Yeah. For a second, you were giving me vibes of, like, late 70s, early 80s Apple. But, yeah. But another thing, and I wrote this down in my notes, is that I'm personally interested in checking out Ryan Reynolds' upcoming movie Free Guy, which is also being put out by 20th Century Studios. And even though the movie hasn't, like, gotten, like, it's officially not yet rated, when I was also kind of thinking in the back of my head if Free Guy gets a PG-13 rating, because so far it's not, like, built as, like, a super family-friendly movie or anything like that based on the trailers, but it seems a lot less risque compared to something like Deadpool. The back of my mind, I was thinking, is Free Guy... was Disney kind of thinking that it could be used as sort of testing ground over, will people still go see a toned-down Ryan Reynolds?
I mean, I'd say that's, I mean, oh boy. Yes. But please, no.
Yeah, no.
Like that, like I could see that, and now I'm concerned because it's like, good question. Bad application.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, the actor is still an awesome actor, you know, and if we're talking about a story where, like, let's look at the concept for Free Guy in the sense that we're looking at video game logic here, which is really, really easy to justify a lot of, crazy stuff happening because, oh, hey, it's a video game, you just pop back up, or, hey, it's a glitch. Haha, isn't it funny? I have a tube through my stomach, And But you could just go, oh yeah, it doesn't hurt because that's just digitally created, like it's data, you know. But no, that's not going to translate to Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, I do remember there was that one scene in the trailer where guy gets like hit by some kind of vehicle and he just wakes back up, but that's just it. It's not like anything like, gruesome or anything. It's just wakes back up because, respawning video game character.
Exactly, Respawn.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
and
and it would be kind of sad if we just basically, kind of just said, oh yeah, it's Deadpool, right? Video game logic. Modern. But no.
yeah, no. So, yeah, but judging how they're moving forward with this next Deadpool, and Free Guy is still like waiting in the wings to be released. I talked a while ago about how its release date it has gotten delayed. It seems like, Disney is like, yeah, we still see the potential in Ryan Reynolds. What I'm kind of hoping is maybe this all like looked again at like the box office receipts of the first two Deadpool movies, and they were like, okay, there's still enough of an audience. We'll still, for now, like plan it as something like R-rated. And I know what's interesting is that when I first like expressed my concerns, I remember somebody told me, hey, don't worry, Disney is still saying it's R-rated. Like, it was like a while ago, like back when Disney first announced, hey, we're going to acquire Fox. And I was just, trying to keep my third eye open and trying to keep in mind, hey, things could change. But I still hope that, since Feige is once again saying, yes, still going to be R-rated, that I just hope it still remains the case. So just wanted to reiterate that since we're just kind of going through like our concerns that we've been thinking about for a while. So the news itself, still stands. And so I also wanted to ask you, how do you think Deadpool could fit into the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
That's a good question because I didn't really ever think I was going to have to contemplate that. But alas, here we are. I'm completely at a blank here because I'm just like, my brain is just does not compute, does not compute, you know. I guess if it were to go, in the sense of keeping in mind that there is not going to be any kind of like holding back on what Deadpool can do and say, anything like that. I think I would hope for a lot of self-referential jokes, or like self-aware jokes, particularly on the part of picking at the fact that he's owned by Disney now and Disney has to put up with him saying a whole bunch of really messed up stuff.
Yeah.
And then kind of like having him juxtaposed to these really kind of like, kind of these like feel good, kind of, I want to say fairy tale romp style characters, or like, like the Avengers, because the Avengers, I mean, yeah, they're silly, they're goofy, they're kind of crazy, but they're feel good. You watch them, you feel good, and it's like, yeah, the world is great, the world is wonderful, and good guys save the day, and nothing is bad. Like at the end of the day, even if we're sad or we're angry, something pops up and makes things better. And Deadpool can just be like, except for this situation right here, and just like, heck up, But I don't know if I really see Disney doing that, though. That's where I'm here, like, how will that work?
Yeah. Like, let me actually look into a story. I was wondering if I was going to bring this up in the video, but let me look into this, like, old story that was going around a while ago.
Mhm.
If I end up pausing, I'll just cut out any dead parts of the video where apparently they had to cut out a Disney joke in Deadpool 2.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I found the quote that Ryan Reynolds said about a joke that had to be cut out of Deadpool 2. And he
Okay.
said, quote, "This is a sore spot for me because there's a joke in the movie that is not in the movie now because I'm probably not even allowed to say this. Fox made me take it out. It had more to do with Disney, and they made me take it out. As I look back at it, I think maybe that was a wise decision."
Aww. And
Yeah,
see, this
so
is the kind of reaction I expect.
hmm
Which is why I'm like, I don't see this happening. This is how I would see it happening if they would allow it. But
yeah.
I don't see them allowing it, which is why I'm here like, I don't know, no. And I think that's why a lot of people were kind of concerned when they heard this, you know. It's like, and even now, like, I was still pretty happy that it was going to be R-rated, but now I'm even here like, are they just going to put the rating on there and then not do anything? Because that's going to make me even more mad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be that extreme. Like I'm just thinking the most extreme version of that would be like the only reason it's R-rated is because Deadpool said the F word 5 times. Like, could you imagine if they did something like that?
Oh gosh. I really hope that's not the case. You know what? Knock on wood, because I don't want to jinx that. I don't want that. No. Shoot.
Yeah,
Away.
but the table I'm using has like a fake wooden finish, but I guess that's good enough.
That's what my table's not even remotely wood. So.
Yeah, so Disney, please don't do that. Something that does give me like a kernel, and I really mean like a small kernel of hope, is that when Disney was going around with Disney Plus ads advertising, "Hey, we got the Simpsons on our service," they had some of the advertisements were like making fun of like some
Oh
of the Disney
yeah.
characters and them being bought by Disney. So I think it might be a case where it's like they could make like some like self-referential jokes at Disney, but they can't go like my concern is like, but maybe they can't go like, you know, full throttle and giving like Ryan Reynolds and the writers like full control and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I kind of also see that with bringing up the Simpsons commercial, because I think I saw that one.
Yeah.
It just makes me also think of what they did with Animaniacs on Hulu
Mm-hmm.
too. And I mean, I guess that's the I think it's seeing Deadpool doing something like that would probably be funny. But at the same time, it'd be like, we know you want to say something else, Deadpool. Like, this is you just being nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the nice version. Wait, do they make like Disney jokes in Animaniacs since
Oh
Hulu?
no, because it's like it's the fact that they're a reboot,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go off about like, oh, the key problem with reboots is that they have symptomatic tendency to, oh, what was it? I don't know, something along the lines of like losing its spirit and not being as funny and blah blah blah
Mm-hmm.
and all of that and oh sellouts and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden a giant pile of money just falls behind them and in front of them they're like coins and they have little flags and all dressed up now and like Hulu merch. It's like, here's your check for the Animaniacs reboot, yes, sellouts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so at least they could do those sort of jokes. Because I was about to say, do you know who controls much of Hulu these days?
No.
Disney.
Oh, what? Ah!
Yeah, that's why you see like a Disney Plus package that includes Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu. It's because I don't think they like control like all of Hulu, but they have like a lot of say about like how, you know, Hulu is run and that sort of thing.
Why is that even more terrifying than before it? Not because I don't trust what they're doing with it, but just because of how far the reach of Disney is now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord, I'm just taking that in right now.
I see. So, but yeah, I'm trying to think of what else to say. I mean, the good news, at least for now, is that once again, Marvel President Kevin Feige has says that the next Deadpool movie will still be R-rated and will be part of the MCU. So just wanted to reiterate that again, because I know we've gone through a lot of our concerns, some of which, me personally, I've been like holding just to wait and see if Marvel or Disney would either like, reiterate that yes, we're still gonna make an R-rated Deadpool. So at least for now, that main concern is put aside. It's just a big question of what is this final product going to look like when they finally start making the movie itself, because still have a way to think about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, me personally, I'm still like, if they hold to their promises, I'm still interested in seeing what they do with a Deadpool 3. Like I said before, if it was a question of would you rather have PG-13 Deadpool or nothing at all, then I would lean towards, well, at least I'll give another movie another chance. But if they are like, if Disney and Marvel are like holding to their promise, then, I'm still down, and hopefully it'll have a lot of the types of action scenes and a lot of the humor that's been in the past Deadpool movies. Because even though I do personally think, technically speaking, a PG-13 Deadpool could be possible, when they have that ability to really go there as much as they could with the last two movies, I think that's what really gave much of Deadpool's identity and what made him stand out, especially compared to the other Marvel characters.
Exactly, yeah. And I can agree that yes, and it can be done, but it's the question of just because it can, does that mean it should?
Yeah.
It can happen, but is it going to work?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, just, objectively speaking, as long if I personally still like the movie and it's still funny and Ian has good action, then it's still good for me.
All right, yeah. I think for me, I always have found it hard, at least before the MCU, and finding some of the more kind of out there kind of superhero films.
Yeah.
I always kind of had a hard time really getting into anything superhero themed. I mean, I would off and on watch an episode of X-Men or Spider-Man. I would watch an episode that was airing or something like that, or we had a DVD of old Superman cartoons, but I wasn't there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm totally invested in this character, And not to say that nobody can be invested in characters like that, but when we're looking at characters that are under the label of superheroes that I particularly enjoy, it's that kind of standing out, that kind of messed up little screw. Whether it's a tiny one like in Batman, where it's just kind of he's just emo boy kind of deal, or if it's just kind of completely bonkers type Deadpool, or just kind of family drama type an Umbrella Academy, something like that. Something about it is just kind of oh, you went there. That's really gotten me interested in any of this. I mean, there are the exceptions Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But even then, Guardians of the Galaxy, there's this sense of they're misfits. They're misfits, and I think that still kind of holds close to that whole kind of concept that, of having the concept of a superhero that's not necessarily all there, all put together. And I mean, taking that away from a character, I think at any level is just kind of sad. I don't know. Which I guess is kind of why, at least for me, being oh, but this was what I really liked about this character, though, and you're going to strip it down? I mean, it's kind of okay, but I'd rather you not, I would be lying if I say that I wouldn't be kind of bummed out and not really that up to watching them film. I probably still would, but I'd ultimately still come up thinking, God dang it, what did they do to you?
I see what you mean.
It's like, look what they did to my boy.
Hmm. Yeah. So, but yeah, at this point, we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe even for like a few years, hoping that still
And
like
I don't
remains.
mind however long I have to
Hmm.
wait, as long as it comes out well.
Yeah. I mean, like especially because like I'm used to covering gaming news stories where I hear about video games that come out like in time for Christmas but they run really buggy. I've basically just adopted the mindset of just take as much time as you need, especially these days due to what's been going on with the world. I don't want to be like in that position where like what's going on with like the Owl House and people are like where's the season 2, where's the season 2, and I'm like hey, Dana Terrace and everybody, if you need the time, especially considering what's going on,
Take the
please,
time.
please,
Take the time.
yeah,
You
hmm
know, and we saw this with Star versus the Forces of Evil,
and
and we're seeing it again with Owl House, and we saw it with Steven Universe too.
Infinity Train
Because there was a
also.
there were just a bunch of people like, oh, Steven Universe episode, and it's like, we're talking about human beings working on this. You know that, right? It's not just like a machine where you click the roll button and a whole episode comes out nice and packaged for you. It's going to take a long time.
Yeah, I mean
Heck,
that's like
I think I don't know if we ever went more than like a year waiting for Steven Universe episodes, but I definitely remember having much longer hiatuses in other shows, and I just saw people kind of going crazy over like not having any new Steven Universe episodes. Like, really? But there are so many cool shows still going along as well. Like, I would jump between probably Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Rick and Morty, Star versus the Forces of Evil. Like, take your pick, yo. Like, there's probably ones that you haven't even looked into yet, and you're here wondering on this one show because you're going to take like 2 or 3 months to come out with like 4 or 5 episodes, and you want them to come out like now. It's like,
yeah. So yeah. So for me, that's a big part of why I'm like just like kind of wait and see. So yeah, it's so it's kind of like the old saying goes it may take a lot of times, but the good things like come when there's a lot more time and effort put behind them. So
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a saying. It goes, good things come to those who wait.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
that was
think
the
that
line.
definitely applies here
Hmm.
because, not only are we talking about good quality material coming out, right? But the other thing is that do we really want to add on to the pressure that is going around these times? Like, really? Like, I'm sure some of the people who are out there forced to kind of be recording right now don't even want to be out there, but are doing it for the sake of their careers,
Yeah.
And it's like, you really want to add to that?
Hmm.
Like, they
Yeah.
should probably be at home staying safe and enjoying the money they have so that they can, come at least, not have to worry so much. I mean, they've done a lot of work, and but you want them to go back out there already, especially with like how bad things are. It's like, no.
Yeah, I
It's
see what you
like,
mean.
we should be happy that companies are even taking their time because some of them could just be like, screw it, no, we don't care, we're gonna do it because America.
Yeah. I mean,
But it's like,
I'd hate to see like Deadpool 3 go through like do you know the video game is Cyberpunk 2077?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because even though it's been in development for years, when it got released, especially on like from what I hear on the PS4 and Xbox One, it was a rather buggy game, and now the publisher could be in like legal trouble.
Wow, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, due to things like the advertising and things like that.
Oh
Hmm.
wow.
So yeah, I wouldn't want to see like Deadpool 3 get put into that kind of a
Absolutely,
situation.
absolutely no, no.
Yeah. But yeah, so hopefully, maybe in a couple years time, we'll be talking about, this final product. Maybe we'll even maybe like I'm hoping it'll be a lot safer and we could go see it with Steven in like a theater, just like when we went to see Deadpool 2. And hopefully I won't have to have a serious need for going to use the restroom like what happened when I went to see
I think
Deadpool
that's a bit of a rite of passage where it's like I think there's always that one movie you have that you went and you're just like, oh no, I have to use the restroom, but when do I go?
Yeah. Like, I still
I
remember, like, I think our friend Steven was like, are you really sure you really have to go? Because, he didn't want me missing the scene where, the prison scene. And I was like, I basically said something like, dude, I feel like my bladder's gonna blow.
And trust me, that happened to me with, I think it was Endgame.
Oh.
And see, the thing was, is I tell it this way. I came in, I sat down on the seat,
Mm-hmm.
my bladder just went whoop, and I'm like, oh no. Whole movie, didn't get up a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Took in the whole thing because I couldn't find a good place to get up and go use the restroom. Getting up from the movie was painful. Very painful. Do not do it.
Advice. Like, yeah, I understand. Okay, so yeah.
So do not do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's hopefully, we'll have this film come out and we'll be able to, check it out and enjoy it, and come back to you guys and tell you what we thought,
Yeah, and to which we actually did do you remember, Gabby, we did a review of Deadpool 2 with Steven like a gajillion years ago, and I'll have
Did we?
Yeah, and I'll have a card to that review come up right about now.
Oh,
Do you see the card? Yeah, and so yeah, it'll take you to see the review. It's quite an interesting review of Deadpool 2. So
I might just go back and check that out because I have no recollection of that. Y'all know how bad my memory is, so.
Well, now you know that. We did that review a while ago.
Hey, because I don't remember even how many we've done with Steven, but I think more so I remember that we went to go see the first. No, it wasn't. Was it Deadpool? Or was it Kingsman? It was Kingsman, right? That we went to go see for Valentine's. Was it Valentine's Day?
Might have been. Now I'm trying to remember. Because it was the
same time that 50 Shades of Grey came.
And boy, did we make, and yeah. So yeah, I'm even like, hey, for a second there, I was like, you went to see Kingsman with us, so like even my memory is
the
best either.
Heck, I remember that. I loved that film. I had no idea what I was getting into.
Yeah.
Except really cool super spy mumbo jumbo deal, and now I'm here like, and I'm waiting for the Kingsmen to come. Like, was it the Kingsmen? The Kingsman?
The prequel, yeah, which is also being released by Disney and Fox.
And I think I even own Golden Circle because Elton John. If you guys don't know, I'm a big Elton John fan.
Me too.
So when I saw him in Golden Circle, I went berserk.
Yeah. And
I just lost it.
Yeah, and I still need to watch and review Golden Circle, by the way. Yeah.
I smell a movie party coming along?
Maybe. It's just a question of finding a streaming service where, we could watch it as a group, like with the Star Wars movies.
All right. Yeah, that shouldn't be too hard.
Okay, so yeah, hopefully we're getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah, hopefully Deadpool 3 stays R-rated. Hopefully it stays good. We'll see how it goes when the movie comes out. As I always say, no, I personally don't like getting overly judgmental. It's like we won't know until we're sitting there watching the movie and seeing for ourselves.
Right. Yeah. And I don't mean to be kind of like, if it's not like this, I'm not going to like the movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be there. I'm just gonna be like, it's gonna be really sad if they change Deadpool, like, as a character.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I'm concerned about. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Fingers
So
crossed.
yeah, fingers crossed. So yeah, let us know your thoughts down below. People watching this video, what do you personally think? Should Deadpool 3 stay R-rated? What did you all think of the first two Deadpool films? Could let us know down below in the comments. And until next time, this has been Bloodman Bobby, and I wanted to thank Gabby for coming on once again to discuss the subject.
Thank you for having me.
So until next time, we will see you all later.
Bye.
Yeah, that was great. Hi everyone, thanks for watching this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos and ring the bell to be notified about my latest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on social media for my latest opinions and video updates. I hope to see you next time.